I guess this week's video is sort of a warning to all those people that are doing those Kickstarters for their games and whatever. The games industry is a vicious, brutal place, and if you don't prepare yourself for what's to come, it's going to go wrong badly. Case in point, what happened this past week? So, well, it's developed arguably since over the last month or so. So, the Ghostbusters film came out. Obviously, there was a lot of people that were very anti it. I still haven't seen it, but hopefully I will be in the next 24 hours. At least as of recording this video, so when this video is up, I'll hopefully be seeing it today. In a weird triple bill, with Bourne and The Nice Guys. Even though I've already seen The Nice Guys, but screw it, that was actually entertaining. What, a Warner Brothers film that was entertaining? Yeah, it's a rarity. And also, full disclosure, I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I'm probably going to wait to see all the heat die down. And again, it could be empty, I don't know. So, to coincide with the film, Activision decided to release a Ghostbusters game. And no, I'm not talking about the old one. It was good. You've probably seen quite a lot of people talking about this because the reviews were very bad. Because it was just a generic, top-down sort of shooter style game, developed by a studio called FireForge Games. So they released this game sort of I think it was pretty much the same day as the movie coming out, or that week anyway. And it actually got worse reviews than the actual film did. And little did we know, thanks to Kotaku, they're the ones that really broke the story. 3 days after the game came out, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Yeah. Basically, they're liquidating assets in an attempt to pay off the debt that they've got of around 12 million. The other thing about this Ghostbusters game, the game was developed in 8 months, according to one person who worked on it. So it was founded like 5 years ago by an ex-Blizzard employee by the name of Tim Campbell. And they started and stopped production on 2 mobile-like projects. One was codenamed Zeus and was going to be published by Razer, the hardware company who, they've just launched their latest peripherals and all that stuff. But the other one, codenamed Atlas, was funded by the Chinese publisher Tencent, which owns... Do they own Google? They're a big-ass company, that's all I remember about Tencent. But the key thing is they also have a 37% stake in FireForge Games. Now, if you search FireForge Games on Google, you'll actually get there's a tabletop company that's got pretty much the same name. I think it's FireForge-Games.com. But they are not the same company. I don't even know if they've got a website. But basically what's happened is that they owed about $11 million to Tencent, apparently. And they're also in a lawsuit with a Singapore-based private company called Min Productions, which is owned by Min Lang Tan, who is the CEO of Razer at the minute. Tan has apparently alleged that FireForge failed to deliver on their contract. So again, and this is stuff, if you've played like Game Dev Tycoon and all these, I mean that's the pinnacle one, because that is actually pretty damn good. You'll know that a lot of the work done in games isn't you developing your own game. You know, it's not as simple as a Rockstar North or a BioWare or things like that. On the side, all these little studios, in order to get the capital, in order to make the games, need to do contract work. I mean, case in point, I think it was it Double Helix Games? Or am I getting that confused with the biggest example of the contracting out stuff is the one from Arkham Knight, which I should know off the top of my head. Live searching during the video. Prepare to fail. Who developed it? Yeah, I'd like to look at the Wikipedia page, please, or something. Either way, the PC developer. There we go. Might get a list. Iron Galaxy. There it is. Iron Galaxy did it. The guys behind Dive Kick and just picked up Adam Boyes, actually. So yeah, you know, some of their big games that people would know them for is that they took over Killer Instinct from Double Helix when they got bought by Amazon. That's why I was getting confused. And they've just released Video Ball, which seems to have gone down well. They also did Dive Kick, Racketeer, and the Minerva's Den DLC for Bioshock 2, which are all pretty well received. But then you have to take into account a lot of the stuff that they've done has been contract work. Bioshock 2 obviously would have been part of it, because 2K Marion was busy on other stuff. They did the PS3 and 360 online portions of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. They did the mobile versions of Scribblenauts Remix. They did the Wii edition of Back to the Future the game, which is the Telltale one. They did Marvel vs. Capcom Origins for PS3 and 360. Darkstalkers Resurrection. Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara, the digital release of the the classic game that was done through them. And then they did the PC. They did the Vita port for Borderlands 2, and then probably the one that they're most infamous for, the PC ports of Arkham Origins, and the big issues with Arkham Knight. The issues with that being, of course, they were given 6 months to develop it. They were basically given all the assets that Rocksteady had done and everything, and it really wasn't that good. Yeah, it was a mess. I think I remember covering it probably this time last year or whatever on the channel. So look for the old Batman stuff. But yeah, they weren't given that much time in order to make it into a working copy. And this contract work, as I say, funds a lot of the things that people can do. You know, you just have some people off doing other stuff for other games, but then for doing that, you get your money. Then you take that money and invest it yourself in developing the game and whatever. It's sort of it's sort of the contract stuff. Arguably, is a similar thing to Kickstarter, because you're still trying to get money so that you can invest in the game that you're doing, except rather than presenting your pitch and then asking people to stump up the cash, you're getting the cash through contract jobs and doing bits there and there, like beta testing, programming, all that sort of stuff, while working on some of the concepts. Some of the studio will be off working on whatever it is, but then the other part of the studio will be doing all this work to actually get the revenue and the cash in. So yeah, we go back to FireForge, but they failed to deliver on the contract for developing Zeus, and instead used the money from the Zeus deal to actually work on Atlas with Tencent, because obviously Tencent has a pretty significant stake inside the FireForge company. FireForge, in reply, have said that they only started working on Atlas once Razer had stopped paying them, and this lawsuit is now currently on hold because of all this Chapter 7 bankruptcy stuff. And then apparently the lawyer, who was the receiver responsible for selling the games and IP of 38 studios following that company's closure, sued FireForge last year, claiming that they signed a deal to license the 38 studios' proprietary social media platform Helios for about $3.5 to $4 million, then reneged on it, turned their back on it, and instead hired several ex-38 Studios employees basically to build their own version. Still no updates onto it, because there's been no comment from the FireForge side yet, at least on the whole issue of the bankruptcy and all that. But yeah, it cropped up, I think, Monday, so pretty much this time last week. And yeah, you can clearly tell the reason why they made the Ghostbusters game is to try and recover that, let's say, somewhere in the region of $15 million that they owed through the other case about the 38 Studios thing, and then the main one, which is this whole Razer Tencent weird kerfuffle between the two of them. So it's really, I mean, we've also seen the buzz games for the PS2, the quiz things with the actual button buzzers, shut down this week, but that was mainly because the buzz games weren't ever going to be planned, I think, for the PS4. And I think all they were doing was mobile stuff anyway, and it just, I guess, didn't really seem cost effective to keep it running. Yeah, the small studio, the ones that get the most attention are the big studios, but if it wasn't for the whole Ghostbusters deal with it not being a very good game, and then what came out about it in terms of its development time and its legal problems, it probably wouldn't have been paid attention to either that this company went under. The developers behind Murdered Soul Suspect, it got a bit of attention, but nothing as massive as the equivalent of Sega when they announced they weren't going to be doing consoles anymore and going solely into publishing, or even a studio as significant as Lionhead going under. Those are the ones that get more of the attention, but it's a more likely and often basis of these small companies, just perhaps one or two people perhaps only, just a handful of people doing this work, thinking it's going to be, their way to get ahead in the industry, and it just doesn't turn out to be. So, yeah, a bit of a cautionary tale for you budding game developers, creators, whatever you want to call yourselves out there. Do not put I'm trying to think of the right words. Be careful what decisions you make in terms of what your company can actually cope with, or the size of it is. If you've got big dreams, let them be dreams. For once, Shia LaBeouf, as I call him, Shia LaBeouf, isn't right, He says don't let your dreams be dreams. If they're not realistic dreams in the video game industry, just don't do it.